And we are live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Horizen Weekly Insider number 96. Today is July 19, 2021. Thanks for joining us live here on Discord and YouTube as usual. And please be aware that this call is being recorded and is also going to be available for you to check out later in our Horizen podcast in case that you miss any of our latest updates. Also, please remember to ask your questions on Menti. We're going to be providing the link there so you can ask the team any questions. Let's kick it off with our first update from the engineering department. I'll pass the word now to Alberto. Welcome.
Thank you, Angie. And as usual, let's start with Zendo, where we have finalized the strategy for the last two remaining issues, which arose from the audit. So we will work on them and do the fixes in the next few days. Moreover, we are also progressing with the infrastructure-related activities in order to prepare the parallel testnet, where all the code will be deployed. But this is probably going to be covered later. Apart from that, we also completed the block size increase implementation from 2 megabytes to 4 megabytes and distinguished one size for regular transaction and the other for certificates. So in this way, we will be able to, reserve a part of the block specifically for certificates, and the other part will be shared between the two. So the implementation is undergoing a first round of code review right now. Okay, switching to proving system, regarding the suggestions which arose from the audit, almost all of them have been addressed and fixed except for one, which we are going to work on today. The applied changes will need to go through final review in the next few days. Then, regarding the next delivery, which mainly interests the SDK, the circuits, and the proven system, last week, we carried out two workshops, one on the SDK and the other for the circuits, and also for the proving system. Thanks to such workshops, the SDK activities have been defined, as well as the first development phases of the proving system. In fact, on the proving system side, we're already working on optimizing the multi-poly, multi-point implementation, and this will be finished this week. Another new item we have started is the secret-friendly co-boundary Marlin implementation, and for that we target the end of July for completion. So this is all for today. Back to you, Angie. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alberto. And now let's continue with Jonathan to provide us the growth updates.
Hey, everybody. Good morning. Good afternoon. So some good news on the growth side. We just hired a content writer named Joyce for a project. It's the ebook project that we've been talking about for some time. We will be creating an ebook called Beginner's Guide to Blockchain. And it'll be based on the content that we've already written for the Academy. But Joyce is a professional copywriter, and so she will go through what's written, make sure there are any changes, make sure everything flows, make sure everything looks correct for an ebook format. And then the goal of this is to distribute the ebook for free on whether it's Amazon Kindle or some other online ebook websites. And the reason is because when people learn about blockchain, it's a good thing, but also we'll have links to Horizen and information about Horizen within these ebooks. So if somebody's new to blockchain and they download this free book, which is obviously going to have great reviews because we have great content, they'll be learning about Bitcoin and Horizen at the same time. And so Horizen becomes part of that kind of set of cryptocurrencies that they know about as they start to learn about this field. And of course, that's a great thing for us because that means more users for us, more people that learn about Horizen, what we do. And this is just the first of hopefully many ebooks that we'll release. So obviously we have beginner content, intermediate, advanced, and some other topics which we're considering are maybe an ebook on blockchain and privacy, maybe blockchain and sidechains. What's the difference? What's the benefits? So really excited about this and really excited to see what kind of results we get from this initiative. And that's it for me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Next, we have Lucy for the marketing updates.
Thank you, AG. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. So last week we announced ZK audit with our partner Celsius Network. So we had shared some information about ZK audits before, and what the Horizen Labs team and the Celsius have been working together before the announcement. But we're just really excited that we reached the milestone of announcing the ZK audit, the product. So this is really a big deal, not just for our ecosystem or Celsius ecosystem. It's really, a very significant for the broader blockchain ecosystem, because this is the first and only blockchain-based automated audit system that is both fully decentralized and privacy enabled. So if you haven't seen an announcement, please take a look at it in our news channel or our social media feeds. Or you can just do a simple Google search. Our press release will come up. Many news outlets covered this release. So Rob was also a guest in Celsius Weekly AMA with their CEO Alex and their chief architect Carl last Friday, and talked about ZK audit and our partnership. So the video is on Celsius YouTube channel. Please take a watch and give a thumb up, and show your love and support for Horizen by leaving a comment there. And to celebrate the release, we will also be hosting a community giveaway. You can get a chance to win some Zen by helping spread the news. We will start the giveaway later today. Make sure that you already followed us on social media and keep an eye on your social media feed. Other than ZK audit, we are working on more partnership announcements that will come out soon, as there are more blockchains are being built on Horizen. So as always, stay tuned. And then also last week, we released a blog post about Zen improvement proposals, also known as Zen Nips. This is our approach to open our ecosystem development to the community and towards a more transparent and collaborative and stable governance. So Zen-Nips are meant to standardize the process of suggesting major changes to Horizen code base and processes around the protocol. So a lot of a way to encourage community involvement in the decision-making process. So the first ZNIP will be submitted very soon. So keep an eye on our social media feeds. We will share that progress as soon as it becomes available. That's it from us. Back to you, Angie.
Thank you, Lucy, for the great updates. And now let's welcome Rob for the final part and the Q&A session.
Thank you, Angie, and hopefully, guys, my audio is stable enough. I am once again on the road. Okay, so things that we have ongoing. I'm glad that Lucy brought up the ZenIP and the first ZenIP that we'll be publishing soon. So pay attention to that; it's forthcoming. Again, just big shift in the way that we do software development and ecosystem governance. Sometimes we've been talking about this for a while, and sometimes it takes a little bit of a push to get over a certain hurdle. But the important thing is we always do what we say we're going to do. I think that consistency is the important thing, and we're going to now accelerate this. We're going to go live with the first ZenIP, and it's really a major one because it's about Zendo. But going forward, core software development is going to be going through this process. It'll be a more rigorous process than previously. As a startup blockchain ecosystem that just didn't have significant resources, we bootstrapped it and we did things as streamlined as we could and just had to get some things done. Now, as we're growing, or as we have grown, it's really time to continue this march towards professionalization and really opening up the ecosystem as a full open source software project that we are. So anyway, just really happy about that. And on my end, what I've really been focusing on, I mentioned this last time, but to go a little bit deeper on it, is finalizing this tech roadmap. Now, the cool thing is Rosario typically corrals all of us, around October, November time period every year and says, guys, we have to focus on this tech roadmap for the next year. We really need to get going on this and start thinking about what we're doing next. Well, this year we started significantly earlier, and we've really been going through a more rigorous process. really the most rigorous process that we've ever done on how we are going to be focusing resources. And the main message here is we've spent years building a really important, building our platform. What we've been since 2017 was a cryptocurrency and a blockchain that supports a cryptocurrency. And we've been talking about releasing this programmatic blockchain or this platform that people can build a variety of different applications on that go beyond cryptocurrency. We've been talking about it for years. And given the path that we came from, it was important to build in a particular direction with a particular architecture. The architecture we chose, you guys have been hearing about for years, which is the sidechain system that ultimately culminated in Zendo, which is a sidechain system that allows for total decentralization. Now, it doesn't have to have total decentralization, but it allows for it. And that's an important feature that will really help us scale into the future of where we think blockchains have to go long term. Now, in the first thing that we're doing is Horizen Labs now is building a particular implementation on Zendo. So a particular type of sidechain with a particular type of consensus, a particular type of way of providing for security, and that's called Lattice. And Lattice is going to have an SDK as a product, just like we have an SDK on the beta right now for the Zendo beta. That SDK has been significantly modified and improved with higher security and just more scale potential with Lattice and the Lattice SDK. So this is an important delivery that we're going to be doing shortly after the big Zendo release. So what's happening is we're finally having a major shift as a project from being a cryptocurrency-based blockchain where you really can't program much else on top of it, right? And now we're going to release Zendo. This is going to be ideally in October, and it's going to coincide immediately after the deprecation that's built into the current software. As soon as we have deprecation, we're going to release Zendo. Zendo opens up the blockchain to be a scalable programmatic blockchain of blockchains environment, right? So this is our big shift. Shortly after that, we are going to have another major delivery with Horizen Labs on Lattice and the SDK for Lattice as a product. Now, in the interim, because it's really important that after years of effort, we don't have a major release, hundreds of thousands of lines of code, major technology breakthrough that went from R&D and idea to rigorous software development. We don't want to release that and then nothing happens, right? So what we're doing is we're focusing now on very specifically what exactly do we need to support a successful launch. Now this is everything from, you can call it the mundane of making sure that all of the products that we have out there today are compatible with the Zendo release. So just product compatibility is absolutely key. And this is a big area that we're focusing to make sure over the next couple of months, everything that we have is upgraded and compatible with the big Zendo release. Now, going further, because just releasing the software into the wild, we can book this as a major milestone and success for us as a team, as a community, as a project. It's huge. But we also want to make sure that when we deliver this, we are delivering something of usable substance so that we can actually open up the ecosystem immediately for other developers to come in. So it's not just, say, Horizen Labs or the foundation or just kind of like a small group of developers that we have currently who support the project outside of these formal teams. We want to open it up to the world, and we want to be able to answer the question immediately. If you want to do X, whatever X is in the blockchain world, it's a no-brainer to build on Horizen. That's what we want developers, CTOs, CEOs across industries, especially within our industry, to be able to answer that question and say, it's a no-brainer to build on Horizen. Now, as of today, it's not a no-brainer, right? Like we are not well known as one of those big platforms that people are going to build applications on. We will be, and there's a path to getting there, and we want to accelerate this path. So when we release Zendo, it's important that we also release the tools to make it useful from day one and not completely. And even when we deliver, this is a huge breakthrough in terms of security and like full decentralization for particular, or really for any type of application, but it's not massively usable from day one in the sense that, say, Solidity with Ethereum's massively useful, right? There's a whole then roadmap of making it extremely usable that we have to engage on. And we may hit a point of maturity where it's extremely usable or sufficiently usable, let's call it, for particular use cases, but maybe not as usable for other use cases that maybe it's just not as as well designed to do, right? So we have to, we will be tackling these challenges as we release Lattice, and then as we develop the roadmap for Lattice going forward. But in the meantime, so just long story short to say that in the meantime, practically what we're going to be doing is we are targeting delivery of what we're calling, say, a semi-decentralized option that deploys immediately with Zendo. So this is still not 100% given because it does require development work on the SDK core. It requires, some deep thinking to make sure that we release something in a truncated window that is secure, right? We don't want to just release something in the wild because we can. We have to release something that's both meaningful, has high impact, and we have reasonable confidence that it's secure. So we are looking at a semi-decentralized option that would involve, call it a restricted certifier set. So instead of opening up the entire world in a fully decentralized way where anyone in the world can act as a certifier just based on specific protocol, we have the sidechain developers who launch the sidechain. Upon initializing and launching that sidechain, they actually choose a select group of certifiers that has some reasonable criteria of decentralization or trust, at least sufficient decentralization and trust that's appropriate for the application that they want to build on the sidechain. Right, so that's a lot of words, but just to say, we want to release Zendo with something immediately useful so that people can actually build up. Us, right? Like we also have products like ZK Audit, and we have other things that we want to build. And in fact, if we want to get into more complex products that you can't necessarily program a ZK snark for, say like smart contracts, like a VM-based smart contracting platform, it's important to have this type of kind of like truncated certifier option so that people can still launch something with reasonable decentralization and security that meets the needs that they declare themselves, and just have that option out there in the wild. So this is really what now we're focusing some effort on, including just all of these compatibility issues that I mentioned before about Zendo's going live. We have a whole suite of things, including JavaScript libraries that work with the current Zendy software. We need to make sure that everything's completely compatible with Zendo. All right, so we have a lot of that work ahead. We also want to release this restricted certifier option as on day one with Zendo, so that people can start building on day one without waiting for more rigorous tools to come out like Lattice and the SDK for Lattice. So there's a lot of work going to this, guys, but just want to make it clear that we're thinking about all of these things. And the biggest thing is the main mandate here is it's time that we open up this ecosystem to the world, really, to open it to the world and open it up to any developer, any CTO, any CEO out there that's thinking about building whatever blockchain application they want and thinking that we are the obvious solution for them. So that's what we're doing. We're now choosing the path of least resistance, or the most feasible path to open up the ecosystem. And then we're going to have a whole subsequent cascade of activities that are going to mature the tools and products that we offer on the marketplace to get to the states of full decentralization, and not just full decentralization, because we'll get that with Lattice, but also then all of the usability tools and layers and modules and middleware and everything that's needed on top of that to really make these tools readily available to a much broader marketplace. So anyway, that's what I've got, guys, just to let you know and give you some insights on some of the the deep thinking on strategy as we're going. But we are hitting this inflection point as a project where we are going to flip that switch, and we are going to go from a cryptocurrency-based blockchain to a platform, a programmable blockchain platform where people can actually build a whole bunch of other things on top of beyond cryptocurrency. So this is huge for us as a project, and we're trying to think through all of the details to make sure that we have a massively successful launch. So that's what I've got for you guys, and we can open it up here to Q&A.
Thank you, Rob, and thank you everyone as well for contributing with your questions. So the first one I see here is, could you please explain the reasoning behind block size increase? Did you reach a potential impact on decentralization?
Yeah, so this is Alberto, if you don't mind answering this question. This is a really good one, and I'm glad that someone brought it up because we haven't really addressed the why of it before.
Okay, yes. Okay, first, the why. Okay, we wanted to provide, let me say, a way for certificates and sidechain-specific transaction to have, let me say, a sort of a priority over regular transaction. Also because they are a sort of a heartbeat of the sidechain, and moreover, we wanted to create two separate markets. one for certificates and one for the other transaction. So we identified the possibility to have a certain amount of bytes reserved for just for certificates, and so this part of the block will be reserved for them, and the other part of the block, the usual one, will be instead able to contain both transaction and both certificates, and they are going to compete on fees. Let me say together. Instead, for the first part, they are going to have a unique market for certificates. This will provide the possibility to host, protect, the acceptance of certificates, even if there are a huge transaction throughput in the main chain. And so this was the main reason we analyzed for that. And we decided to go for that. And the other thing, the important thing, is that we also studied the impacts in terms of block propagation time, and both for the proof verification and both for the increase of size. And we tuned the numbers in a way that it doesn't affect the required majority to overtake, the control. So yes, so the short answer is yes. We research about the potential impact on decentralization, and we look for the numbers both for the block size and block for block verification time.
Thank you. The second question is, when will the first okay, so the second question is, when will the first sidechain go live on mainnet?
So the first sidechain will go live on mainnet with the Zendo release, and this is something that we're pushing pretty hard. And this is our target. So again, every engineering target does have some room for uncertainty and risk, but we're tracking very, very well. At least having, let's call it one minimum, but potentially several, because we're building POCs today. And the idea is we obviously eventually want to convert every POC into a production grade product on mainnet. We're at least pushing, say, ZK Audit as target number one. ZK Audit is at least today planned to be the first operational sidechain that has a discrete business purpose and will be running on mainnet from day one.
Awesome. I think that actually kind of answers the third question. So I would like to go ahead and just mention the next one. It says, can you speak about bringing existing blockchain use cases and apps from other chains like Ethereum to Horizen sidechains? How would that be possible?
Yeah, so we have several partners within the blockchain space today that we're working with actively on POCs. POCs because we're building them with the beta product that we have on testnet today. But again, these are solving particular problems with partners where we leverage the strengths and talents of other teams, in particular on certain areas. And yet I want to be a little careful because we haven't announced everything exactly, but some announcements we have made, as an example, a classic one or one that for sure we've talked about here is with IOTA. So with the IOTA project, we are working on specific use case that leverages the Tangle, their technology, and what we do well, which in this case, we'll be providing like a layer of privacy services for data aggregation so that particular people can do particular things with the data that gets broadcast from IoT devices to their Tangle. And then if we want to do specific things with it that are privacy preserving, which solves many potential use cases. In this one, we're looking at what we're calling, say, a smart city use case that actually promotes local commerce within a city. That's how we come in. So we provide a particular type of service. In this case, like a privacy service on top of a data generating platform that they already have. And we go to market that way jointly. All right, so that's one example. And we have several others. Because we haven't publicly announced these partnerships yet, I don't want to get into them, but you'll see a common theme here is we use a Horizen sidechain to ingest some data from external sources, typically from another blockchain project. And like ZK Audit, what ZK Audit does is we're ingesting data initially from the Bitcoin blockchain. We're reformatting that data to make it like Snark compatible. And then we're going to do certain things with it that are privacy preserving, but still have a very important, say, business case for it. So we have a variety of these, and this is really how we're looking at going to market within this industry. Right? Other blockchains do specific things. They have their own roadmaps, their own visions, values, mission, and all that. We're not looking to supplant them. We're actually looking to partner with and augment other things that people are doing and help them achieve their objectives using our technology in a collaborative way. So hopefully that it isn't too vague, but this is at least how we're approaching go-to-market with other partners within the industry. And you have the specific case with IOTA and then some others that will be forthcoming as we get the PR out there.
Okay, thank you so much, Alberto and Rob, for answering the questions, as well for to everyone for contributing and asking them. So I guess this is a wrap. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here live on our weekly Insider. Remember, we do this every week to give you the latest Horizen updates. Just finishing sharp and on point. So